Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander Tough Rules and Cool Interactions, episode 19. Today's episode is going to be unique for this channel, at least so far for the channel, in that it is going to be a follow-up to a previous episode. In Tough Rules and Cool Interactions episode 16, I went over a cool interaction with the cards Goldhound, Xorn, and Kiki-Jiki, and there were some other cards that were mentioned in the episode, but the Kiki-Jiki was the main focus for the episode and for the effect. So that's where I'm going to pick up from for this episode, as well as dive deeper into a bit more of the interactions. First off, I want to thank everyone that has been watching these episodes lately and have subscribed. I just passed 500 subscribers, and I've been reading all of the questions and comments that you all have been posting, and I've responded to most, but because I saw just so many on that one specific episode, that I could tell there was still a lot of confusion over the interaction. But a lot of you also had some other great follow-up questions and comments about further interactions with the Goldhound. So here we go. Yes, Xorn does see the tokens being created of Goldhound. Xorn only cares about the subtype of the token that is being created, not the name, which is where a lot of the confusion seems to be coming from. I can provide two things to try to help clear this up. One thing is looking at an enchantment like Vernal Bloom that says, whenever a forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green mana. The wording here is just checking for the subtype of the land that is being tapped for mana, not a card that is being named forest. So if you were to tap a Breeding Pool with a Vernal Bloom out, it could add either green-green or blue-green to your mana pool, even though it is not a card named forest. The second thing is with a recent ruling change from the Crimson Vow set, in order to remove a weird interaction with blood tokens, the card Flesh and Blood, and cards that have you picking a card name as they enter, like a Pithing Needle. The rule in the comprehensive rules is 111.4, and it states that a spell or ability that creates a token sets both its name and its subtypes. If the spell or ability doesn't specify the name of the token, its name is the same as its subtypes plus the word token. And then there's a little bit more that's not important to this situation. So technically, when you're creating a treasure token now, you're actually creating a treasure token token. So if Xorn did care about the name, then he wouldn't be able to see it being created. I'll leave a link in the video's description for anyone that is interested in that Crimson Vow rules change. So click that to check it out. I hope that this made some sense and clarified a little bit as to why the Xorn does in fact see the Goldhound tokens that are being made in order to replace them. And speaking of replacing, a lot of you had some questions on why both of the tokens created had to be sacrificed at end of turn. I don't think anyone questioned why the Goldhound token would need to be sacrificed, but many people didn't think that the treasure token should also be sacrificed. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Kiki-Jiki wants to create a token copy of the Goldhound, but then Xorn replaces what Kiki-Jiki creates. But that's the important thing, is that it's still the Kiki-Jiki that is creating things, not the Xorn. Because of this, all of the baggage that Kiki-Jiki's ability has will carry over to all things that its ability creates. Yeah, those are the two main things that I saw in the comments that were still confusing people. But some of you asked further interactions with Goldhound and specifically Kiki-Jiki, but also other things that would make token copies. And how those would interact with other cards. So let's start with a slightly easier one that also slightly ties into the first thing that I've covered in this episode. If you have out a Goldspan Dragon and you have your Goldhound out, can you sacrifice your Goldhound to add 2 mana? I'll give you guys a little bit of time to think about it. Pause the video if you want. So the answer is yes. You can indeed sacrifice the Goldhound to create 2. Just like with the whole not caring about the name, but caring about the subtype stuff from earlier, the ability that Goldspan grants to permanents only cares about their subtype, being treasure, even if they're not tokens. The other neat interactions I saw some folks ask about was how Goldhound and Kiki-Jiki would interact if you had out a Academy manufacturer instead of having out a Xorn. And it would indeed alter the Kiki-Jiki ability so that it does not create any Goldhound tokens and instead creates 1 treasure, 1 food, and 1 clue token. And in the case of Kiki-Jiki being the token creator, all 3 of them, the treasure, the food, and the clue, would have to be sacrificed at end of turn. Okay, that's all I've got for this episode. I do hope that this has clarified some things from episode 16 and helped to make a little bit better sense of it all. I also hope that the things with like the Goldspan Dragon and Academy Manufacturer give some of you a few ideas of some tricks that you can pull off in some of your games. As always, I hope that all of you have at least enjoyed this episode, and I hope that most of you have maybe even learned something from it. So have a good one. Ta-ta.